Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Richard Gutierrez, and on today's episode I want to talk to you about Lucid Veil, which is my latest novel, and I figured I'd do something different. This copy is the first one off the press. It comes with the not for resale band, so this is one that I can go in and actually look through and see if I like it. And so far I found a couple of eye-opening things I hadn't even thought about as I was writing it. So I'm really excited about this book, and what I want to do today is read a couple of paragraphs throughout some of the chapters to see what you think. So this will be a online digital book read. So please, I'm interested to see what you think. Leave a comment below, and if you want me to read some more of these, do some more in the future, hit the like button, and it'll help me, encourage me to do some more of these poetry or book readings of my literary works. Again, this is my latest novel, Lucid Veil. I'm going to leave the link in the description below in case you want to actually purchase it yourself. And thank you so much. Enjoy. I rather appreciated the fact that we seemed to be the only ones there, although the steady wind and sounds of playful seabirds reminded me that we were not alone. The smell of the sea air awakened me, like the smelling salts a trainer puts under a boxer's nose to wake up. I felt alive. I placed our brown bags of sandwiches and drinks on a wooden picnic bench and took a deep breath as we sat, admiring the Statue of Liberty from afar. We were teens, living in the moment, feeling responsibly carefree and soaking in the energy of nature. The constant clamor from the 13 flagpoles displaying the U.S. flags near the center of the park sounded off in a tribal rhythm, preparing us for festivities of what was to come. The carport gate squeaked and alerted us that someone was approaching the door. My grandfather surprisingly got up to answer it. It was my Uncle Justin, whom I hadn't seen in years. And here he was, risen from the figurative dead. It was truly an exciting day for me, not only to see my grandparents, but to see one of my father's brothers in the flesh. His birthday was one day after mine, on the 28th, and we were similar in most ways. Although we were many years apart from each other, I looked up to him and saw many traits that I admired and took on. First, he was very charismatic and enjoyed life and its vices. He occasionally enjoyed a beer or three and would spin around and dance to a good tune on the radio, a partygoer. He was often quiet and kept to himself, but when he did speak, people listened, and even his silence said a lot. Ultimately, he didn't care what people thought of him. He served his time in the U.S. military and spent most of his time healing and doing inner work for his own survival. I had traded places with Abuelo, and while he and the rest of them were hanging out in the kitchen, laughing and reminiscing, I was watching episodes of a cartoon version of the Beatles, translated into Spanish, on the television. After singing along to many of the popular songs, I walked into the kitchen to get a drink of water. He was sitting at the table, and from where I was halted, Uncle Justin appeared to be front and center between the hutch and under the hanging chandelier, and was certainly my center of attention. But then he put me in the spotlight, in front of everyone. "Hey, Corey, can you move your ears like this?" I looked at him. I never tried it before in my life, but in that instant I moved my ears without touching them. I didn't know that it was possible, and I have no idea how I was able to do it, but it was truly fascinating. He willed it on me, and I give all credit to my ear-moving avuncular superpower to him. We were all delighted and astounded, so I poured 2 glasses of water, one for him and one for me. She was in her third year of college, so she already reached a requirement to consume alcohol in New Jersey, the determined age of 21, allowing us to share our first official glasses of wine together. Although we may have had a few wine cools way before, in our heydays. I started to learn about wine and food pairing when I began my interactions with fine dining at fancy restaurants. And as a rule of thumb for me, white wine would be the better recommendation with seafood. We ordered a couple of appetizers, including the calamari. And even though I was leaning more towards a seafood entree, we decided to start with 2 glasses of red. Although soft white noise, chatter, and ambient piano music accompanied our views of the gentle waving waters beneath us, and the horizontal white and red headlights slowly scanning along the streets of a bustling city, it was just the 2 of us. In anticipation of a possible ensuing headache from the wine, I popped 2 Advil and took a drink from the iced water the waitress had served us. She was just as I remembered, from the moment I first gazed into her eyes at the high school dance. Time stood still. I was in love again. The undercover cops looked at me, and the blonde one with scruffy hair gave me his 2 cents. "You're lucky you came in. We were ready to bust you up for beating up on a woman," he said with a brusque sternness. "Here I am," I said. "Has he been processed yet?" he asked Thomas. "No, we were waiting to hear from either the lawyer or from a supervisor." "Well, process him and do his paperwork. Process him." The goon squad left, and Thomas asked me to stand up and turn around. "I retired from the force in 2 months, and I never made an arrest in my career of 30 years. Well, honored to be your first caller, officer." I turned around and put my hands behind my back, as I had been instructed. Click. I was taken to a basement level, a sub-level, via an elevator, where I was photographed, fingerprinted, and held in a cell, along with other innocent criminals in our system. The depth of escaping illuminance increased. My energy was quickly draining, and I became in a logy state of physical and mental being. How could there ever be forgiveness for this? She lit some candles, poured some red wine into our glasses, and we feasted on a great meal, filled with laughter and filling our bellies. She didn't have dining room chairs, or a dining room, and so we spent most of our time eating in the parlor, sitting on the floor, sometimes using pillows for cushions. It didn't matter, except that while she sat on the floor tonight, I utilized the couch, and it was awkward for me because I considered her my equal and at the same level. So I casually sat back down on the floor, using the couch as a backrest. After volunteering to do the dishes, but not until after we tasted some of the rhubarb cheesecake desserts I brought back from a local bakery, she lit 2 of the tall white candles positioned in their own candelabras on the altar table by the balcony. "Tonight we're going to do a ritual together," she suggested. "Great, finally. Sounds cool. Let's get changed and put on our robes." She handed me a black robe and asked that I remove all my clothing, excluding my undergarments but including socks, and to try it on. It had a sash so that I could tie it around my waist, and when I put it on, it was a great length, as if it were tailored just for me. It wasn't anything fancy that included a hood or even pockets, but it was comfortable for whatever we were about to engage in. Her robe was more stylish and was made of cotton, versus my polyester window curtain material, but it was less important than the ritual itself. She asked me to relax on the couch while she lit a charcoal. We gathered in the parlor, and she placed some crystal incense on the top of the already burning charcoal piece, and smoke began to plume upward. She used a feather to spread the smoke and scent throughout the room and in our lungs. We moved the couch back a few feet and moved the coffee table to the side to make room for floor work. I still wasn't sure what we would be doing, and left it all up to her to direct. And when everything was in place and to her liking, she turned to me.